In quiet heart of a forgotten village nestled between misty hills and thick forests, lived a humble farmer named Kofi and his only son, Afam. Life was simple. They woke with the sun, tilled the land, and shared warm meals under the stars. The bond between them was unbreakable, not forged by blood alone, but by years of laughter, struggle, and love. One market day, Kofi sent Afam to the nearby town with a basket of yams to sell. The boy never came back. Days turned into weeks. The villagers whispered tales of bandits and traffickers. Kofi searched every trail, pleaded with elders, cried under the moon. But Afam was gone, stolen, lost to a world that cared nothing for the poor or the innocent. What Kofi didn't know, as he clung to the hope of his son's return, was what Afam had endured. The boy was ambushed on the path, roughly pulled into the underbrush and gagged. The last thing he remembered was the smell of earth and leaves before darkness swallowed him. When he awoke, he was in the back of a truck, surrounded by strangers, other boys, scared, confused, and silent. Their eyes, like his, held the same question: why us? They were taken far from the village, across borders and into lands where no one cared who they were, sold as if they were cattle. Afam's first experience of his new life was on a fishing boat, long, brutal days under a harsh captain who beat and starved those who faltered. Many boys chose the ocean over their captors, but Afam stayed. He remembered his father's voice. "You are stronger than the storm, my son." The pain was unbearable, but he clung to those words. He would survive. The years blurred into a haze of work, violence, and survival. Sold again, this time to a factory where iron and fire became his constant companions. He was worked to the bone, day and night, never allowed to rest. His body grew strong, but his spirit grew harder. He refused to be broken. One night, an older man from the city slipped him a broken radio and whispered, "There's a bigger world out there, boy. You don't belong in chains." The voice from the radio, the distant sound of music and words from the outside world, ignited something inside Afam. He wasn't just a slave, he was a person. He had a name, he had a past. Determined to escape, Afam learned in secret. He studied numbers, maps, languages. He became more than just a survivor, he became a strategist. Years passed, and when the opportunity finally came, he seized it. He escaped. Afam worked small jobs, learned new trades, and slowly built power. He gathered wealth, forged alliances, and built a business that would dismantle the very network that had stolen him. But nothing he accomplished mattered until he could return home, not as a broken boy, but as a man of strength and purpose. And then, one stormy evening, a black jeep rolled into the village, cutting through the rain. The villagers stared in shock. From the jeep stepped a tall man, his body broad with muscle, his eyes sharp and filled with purpose. He looked around with quiet intensity, his face unfamiliar, but there was something in his eyes that spoke to the villagers. Kofi stood in the middle of the dirt road, his heart pounding. He knew that face, not a boy anymore, but the man he had never stopped believing would return. It was Afam. The father's legs buckled as he whispered his son's name. The man nodded. "Papa," Afam said, his voice thick with emotion, but his eyes hard with years of pain and survival. The rain fell, heavy and cleansing. Kofi stumbled forward, arms outstretched, as Afam stepped into the embrace. The years, the distance, the pain, it all melted away in that moment. But Afam didn't come back alone. He came with a purpose. a mission to uncover the truth of the people who had stolen his life, to bring justice to those who had lived in the shadows for too long. And so, the son who had been taken, who had been lost, returned, not just to reclaim his home, but to fight for those still bound in chains, for a world that had tried to forget him, but never truly could. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.